And next up, we've got Tom Whisenand, the co-founder of Indeed Brewing in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, what's up, Tom?
Not much.
Thanks for joining me, man.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
You are in the Pitch Slam.
I am.
You're one of the finalists.
Yeah.
Tell me about the experience so far of being in the Pitch Slam.
Yeah, I just saw the email come through, I guess it was probably a few weeks ago, and I thought, well, what the heck? We have kind of a new project we're working on that's kind of a new iteration on our business and where we're going, and it's at least unique to our region. I don't think it's totally unique to the country or to the industry, but I think we're putting our little twist on it, so I thought, what the hell? We'll just throw this pitch out there, and people seem to have liked it so far, so...
Yeah, final five, so that's pretty awesome.
It'll be fun to go up in front of everybody and kind of share with them what we're up to.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking time out with me, right before it.
Yeah, I figured get myself warmed up a little bit instead of doing those weird vocal exercises in front of the mirror,
Yeah, you got to do like the Ron Burgundy ones where you got to come up with little rhymes about skeletons in the shower and shampoo. And yeah,
I should look some of those up.
Yeah, you've got a big project that you guys just announced. You guys are going to be putting a brewery and tap room into Wisconsin. Tell me a little bit about that project.
Yeah, Indeed, we sell 97% of our beer in Minnesota. We sell some beer in North Dakota. It's just kind of been a little pet project for us over the last few years with my family's and my partner's family's roots in North Dakota. But we've always sort of coveted Wisconsin as like, a frontier that we wanted to go into someday, but we didn't want to do it lackadaisically or just sort of put beer on a truck and ship it out there. So the time kind of finally came maybe about a year and a half ago where we said, maybe it's about time that we start looking seriously at Wisconsin. And so we went out there and we started spending more time in the state and just really tried to answer the question of how can we be successful in that state, because it's a challenging state, both like the retail environment, the pricing, and then people in Wisconsin are very loyal to local things. New Glarus is the greatest example of it. Selling over like 250,000 barrels of beer a year just in that state alone. And so really, we kept thinking about it and kept talking about it and like, gosh, what if we could open up a brewery there? And other breweries in Minnesota had kind of looked at that idea in the past, but Minnesota, the state, the alcohol and gambling enforcement had always said, no, you can't do that, that it would violate the laws of Minnesota because you would have more than one tap room then, and Minnesota law says you can have one. And I never really bought that. We never really bought that. And so we kind of first, we set out, exploring that idea and seeing if we could get past that. Once we thought we could, we said, okay, well, let's hire a rep out in Milwaukee. We hired a sales rep out there. We started self-distributing out there, just, kind of high spotting, the right accounts, not all of them, and then started to further explore this idea of opening a brewery and tap room, and we kind of landed on Milwaukee for a lot of reasons. And fast forward to today, we closed on a building about a month ago there that we plan to put the brewery into, and we should be open in June or July, and it's a big part of our plan for the state, which is going to be a long-term plan for growth and really making it a huge part of our brand and our brewery. So
yeah, and that was one of the judges. One of the judges mentioned yesterday, being able to cross over, talking, Vikings and Packers and all that, and you talked a little bit about people in the state being brand loyal, or not brand loyal, but as much as local loyal. Yeah. And New Glarus is such a big part of Wisconsin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was it that sort of told you that, we can do this, we can be successful, and we can sort of be local in Milwaukee as well?
Certainly we're not going there to go up against New Glarus. So we're not picking a fight with them, never would.
Are you sure?
I mean, I will say, though, New Glarus doesn't make an IPA. And if you look at the top brewers in Wisconsin, they tend to trend towards more traditional beer styles. And Indeed's known for innovative styles, for hoppy styles, things like that. So we think there is an opening in the market in that respect. But yeah, I mean, certainly one of the biggest risks is that we come in and seen as like carpetbaggers, just people coming in, but that's not us. We're not adding more states. This is the first state we've added in years, and it's the third state we've ever added, including our home state. So, we are going to go in there with real honest intention. A lot of our staff is from Wisconsin or has direct kind of social connections to Wisconsin. We're bringing our charitable giving program there, which will give over $100,000 a year to Wisconsin nonprofits that are chosen by our employees. We'll employ over 20 people there by the end of 2020. It's really all these things that I think we have to be patient. You're not going to see our beer everywhere in the state, next month or even at the end of this next year. It's going to take time. And our expectations aren't to be as big as New Glarus. They're actually just to be the biggest Minnesota craft brewer in Wisconsin, which if you look at the numbers is not a tall order, I think, if you can find the right sort of formula for success there, which I think we are doing something that no other Minnesota brewer or regional brewer in that area has done in Wisconsin. by investing in Milwaukee and making ourselves local there. So I'm optimistic and confident that I think we have a good plan. And I think it's going to be up to us to show the Wisconsin consumer, to show our customers there, to work with our wholesaler and everything else to really prove it, though.
That's really kind of surprising that no other Minnesota brewer has sort of made that trek.
They all thought it was illegal, and we've broken the trail to prove that it's not. And that it's unfortunate that it took us to do that, but that's just, we saw an opening and we just weren't going to be told no, so we figured it out.
So tell me about, how did you sort of work all of that out?
Yeah.
How did you sort of work out the regulation to make sure that you could do it?
Well, I read the law and talked to. We have a smart attorney, and we said, this just can't be. It's just backwards, first of all. And there were some things in the law and the way it was written where you could see where maybe they could have decided that's what it meant. But we didn't really see it that way. And so really we just went about a polite kind of letter writing campaign and exchange with the Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division, which they don't write the laws, they only enforce them. So it's really getting them to agree with us of our interpretation of how the law should be enforced. And, eventually they did. And there were some nuances to the reasons why they had said no to other breweries in the past. A lot of people wanted to make beer in Wisconsin and bring it back into Minnesota to sell in their tap rooms. And so there are still some limitations on what we can do. But our main goal, again, was to have this tap room, to have this kind of innovation-focused brewery in Wisconsin, and we're going to be able to do that now.
And so you'll be able to pull some of the brands eventually back, use that to sort of test out new styles, new directions.
Exactly. We won't be able to serve the Milwaukee beers in our Minneapolis tap room so far as we can tell right now, but we will be able to sprinkle them into our distribution networks and sell them, throughout Wisconsin and throughout Minnesota, or if we're in any of the markets in North Dakota, for example. So yeah, that's really what it's about for us too. I mean, when you're a bigger production brewery, we're going to do about almost 16,000 barrels this year. It's hard to be nimble and innovative sometimes. It's a challenge when your minimum batch size is 30 barrels, and most of our batches are 120 to 210 barrels. So this will give us 10 barrels to play with. That can be sold in the tap room there, or it can be taken and sold elsewhere, and we can always take those beers back to Minneapolis and scale them up into a full range of packaging options and everything else, which we're excited about because we have some really innovative and exciting brewers. And it's kind of been one of those things where gosh, how do we do this here? It's tough for us in Minneapolis because we are a production focused brewery.
Yeah. Well, in Minneapolis, what are sort of your ambitions there?
We just want to keep doing what we're doing there. We still self-distribute in the Twin Cities market. We'll self-distribute over 10,000 barrels of beer there this year. So yeah, we're one of the larger self-distributors in the state, or in the country, sorry. And eventually we will transition out of that at some point. But right now we're focused on continuing to do that and continue to do it well, because it provides us that direct connection to the customer. And I think it'll work well with our plans in Wisconsin. So we'd like to do some improvements to the tap room and continue to grow that, and also continue to hopefully do better in the rest of Minnesota. Minnesota's a pretty rural state outside of the Twin Cities, so it's going to be a challenge. So
awesome. Well, I know you got to prepare for the Pitch Slam finals.
Those Ron Burgundy things.
Good luck, man.
Thanks, Justin.
Do all the vocal exercises. So
I will.
Good
Thanks
luck, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. That was Tom Whisenand. He is one of the co-founders of Indeed Brewing, and he's going to be on the live stage actually here in about half hour or so. So stay tuned for that.